Hi friends, welcome to Almost Bedtime. The best way to set this class up to make sure that we can enjoy all the poses in the sequence is if you could ideally be close to a wall, because we are going to take one of our crowd pleaser favorite poses, legs up the wall, close to the end of the practice. If you are not situated by a wall already, consider repositioning yourself and starting the video again. When you're ready, we're gonna start on our back because it's almost bedtime. So meet me down there when you're ready and we'll get going. Lie to your back body however it is that it feels the best to you. You could extend legs out long, and you could choose to have your hands falling off to the sides, or you could keep feet on the floor with knees bent. You could choose and elect to keep your hands folded over your body. I'm starting in a position where my hands fall lightly to the lower ridge of my rib cage. And with feet on the floor, I'm letting knees knock very gently into center on one another. Meet yourself where you are in this moment and let a couple of very simple, smooth, easy breaths come in and out of your body. Recognize if there has been anything that's come to pass over your day that might need to be released now before you prepare for a good night's sleep. And if it feels good in your body, you could welcome yourself to take 3 rounds of audible breath in through your nose and out through open lips. A friend and fellow yogi said to me once a couple of years ago that at the end of her day, when she climbs into bed, she repeats a simple mantra to herself. Today I have done my best. I've given all that I can give, and in this moment there's nothing more that I can do for today. For today, I will let it go. Tomorrow I will try my best again. Allow this to settle into your heart and to your bones, and take one more big full body breath here. And then when it feels good, stretch and straighten your legs down the mat if they aren't there already. And stretch and open your arms up overhead. When your exhale comes, you're going to hug your knees in towards your belly. And if it feels okay, you're going to take a little bit of a side-to-side sway, or even start to stir circles around the base of your sacrum. And if you're taking stirring with me, please welcome yourself to pause somewhere in the center and go both ways, so you can stir in both directions. And then meet me back into center again, and inhale, stretch the body out long. When your exhale comes, draw your right knee up in towards your chest and see how it feels to hug this knee and thigh bone in towards yourself. Depending how this feels, you might find that hugging the knee directly into your breastbone feels good, or maybe shifting it off slightly toward the tip of your right shoulder. I find some people even like movement of swaying the knee and the thigh side to side, or even rolling around the socket of the hip. There's no rules. Take one more big breath here. And when your inhale comes, stretch out long again. And when your exhale comes, change sides, so your left knee comes in towards you. It might be a different thing on this side, so allow the process to unfold again with new awareness and new witnessing. Let your breath continue to fill completely and release completely. And then again, we're going to change sides. Inhale, stretch long.
Exhale, right knee in. This time we'll change it again, so your hands will slide back behind your right thigh bone, and you're gonna kick the sole of your right foot toward the sky. Your leg doesn't have to come all the way straight. Straightening is plenty. Look for a space that you feel a stretch. Release your shoulders, and again, breathe a full breath. When your exhale comes, you're gonna rebend your knee. When your inhale comes, stretch out long. And then exhale, draw your left knee in. Same thing, make sure that the back of the head is rested. Change your grasp behind the back of the thigh bone and kick the sole of the foot high. Breathe some space and life and awareness into the back of the leg, or perhaps the tenderness of the low back if it's feeling like this pose is stretching that space there. Use an exhale when it comes, rebend the knee, and with an inhale, stretch your arms open and the leg down the mat. Exhale again, right knee in towards you. Same as before, we change, extending and kicking the sole of the foot to the sky. Release your shoulders, take a breath. When your exhale comes, you're gonna rebend through your right knee and grasp the front of the kneecap or the upper shin with your left arm. Open your right arm out toward the side. It can be a half of a capital T or even a bent elbow cactus. And you're gonna steer your right knee across to the left side. I like to pivot and pop my hip into center so I have room to spin and spiral. And depending on how open you are in your body or how much resistance you might find that the foot very lightly touches the floor, or you might find that you can twist all the way until the kneecap or the shin touch. I would love if your right shoulder stayed heavy as you breathed one more big breath. And let go of your knee. Use an exhale to roll the back of your hips down. Inhale, stretch arms and legs long. Exhale, left knee in towards you. Same as before, when you're ready, hands behind the back of the thigh bone, stretch the sole of the foot toward the sky. When your exhale comes, rebend the knee. Right hand holds the front of the kneecap or the shin, and the left arm opens to the side. You're gonna take a slight pivot so you can turn and twist left knee across to the right. And laying your left shoulder down to be heavy. Some of us even like to scoot our right toes behind the extension, our left toes behind the extension of our right leg. One more big breath. And when you're ready, use an exhale and unravel, rebalance your hips, stretch out one more time, big and full. And then exhale, knees into your chest, both knees, maybe even lift the head and the shoulders for a breath. With as little effort as possible, release your feet, roll your body off toward one side so your hands can help assist you, and we're gonna come and sit up. Turn and face whatever edge of the mat, likely so that you can still see your screen and stay with me in practice. And we're gonna step ourselves into the position of a tabletop pose, stabilize through widespread hands. And we'll just take one breath to drop the belly and curl the heart open. And then exhale, push the floor away and round. Classic sweeping cat-cow might feel really good, so stay with that if it does. Inhale, chest open. Exhale, push the floor away and round. Or if you feel like your body wants a little bit more free flow exploration, definitely give yourself the opportunity to begin to shift and sweep and move through any vertebra of your spine, of your shoulders, of your hips, of your tail, of your elbows. Just let it be yours for a couple more breaths. And then one pose to pick up a bit of energy. The hands are gonna work their way a little in front of the shoulders. Your toes are gonna turn under behind you, and your bum will lift up high for our one and only downward facing dog. Don't worry about getting the heels to the floor. Don't even worry about getting the legs straight. I would love to invite you to shift and sway and dance in this down dog the way that you may have just done in your table. Start to notice where you might need the stretch through your shoulders, through your arms, through your back, through your hips. Breathe here for 3. And when you're ready, lower your knees down to the ground. You might choose to walk your knees open a bit wider. And then with toes drawing together, lay yourself toward the earth in a variation of a rested Balasana child's pose. Let your breath come back to be your central focus. Notice how the breath can lovingly fill and spread into the space of your low back body. How the exhale can help you drop into the resistance of your hips. Enjoy the moving, continuously evolving nature of this breath for 5 more. Be bathed by that soft, filtering sound quality of your breath. Great. Really slow and steady. Push your hands into the floor. Lift yourself up. You're going to kick feet off to the side and come and sit. You might want to scoot yourself forward onto the mat a little bit. And we're going to start fairly lovingly, or we can sit off toward our right hip. And you're going to bring the right shin, your right shin, to become more or less parallel to the top of the mat. And then tuck your left knee into the bottom of your right foot, with your left shin working along the long edge of the mat. So as we sit into this position, what we're looking to do is to bring a little bit of openness and spaciousness to our hips. And so maybe by taking this turned nearly 90 degree position, you might find that. And so even with quite a bend in the left knee, this might be plenty and appropriate. It might feel good to lean over just a little bit toward right fingertips off toward the right side. And it might feel good to take even a little bit more space. So if it does, you're going to take this left knee and kick it a little further back behind you so it can come straight out of the hip crease at a diagonal. And then your shin can kick into, again, a 90 degree. So we're finding that we have a 90 degree of our front knee and a 90 degree of our left. Now, we really need to be aware of what's happening through the knees and the hips. So if this feels too much, too compromised, a deeper bend into the knee, sliding the shin further forward, less pressure into the top of the hip and the hip flexor. Might feel good to maintain this leaning over toward the right hand. Or for some of us, it might feel good to lift the body a little bit more upright and even bring the fingertips in front of the right shin. Now, noticing how this feels, it's similar and akin to our pigeon pose. So some of us even like to bring it lower. It might even feel good in your body to allow your elbows to find the floor in front of your right shin. And if you're absolutely dying to draw your left leg back into full variation of pigeon and pivot into that, by all means go get them. But since it is almost bedtime, maybe we can give ourselves a little bit of a break, not work to the very outer edge of our intelligent edge, and instead just breathe here for 5 big breaths. Breathe where you are. Slow and steady, 3 more. And then with an inhale, nice and slow, we're back up onto our hands. You're going to lean quite a bit over towards your right bum cheek and hip. Sweep both legs out in front of you, and maybe even give a little wiggle to the legs. And then same going to the other side. So we lean a little bit over toward the left. Bring the left shin more or less parallel to the front of the mat. Big bend into the right knee so we can nest our knee to the top left foot. And maybe start in a place of true support so that we're leaning over toward the left hand on the left. Those of us that we know we have the invitation to do so, we're kicking our right leg a little further back and seeing if we can take those 90-degree angles. Maybe you're keeping yourself supported out toward the left side, or maybe you'd like to see what it feels like to bring yourself softly forward towards your shin, hands all the way in front of the shin, or maybe if it feels good, all the way down onto elbows. Make sure that I can keep my microphone with me. And what we find into some of these postures is we meet not only the resistance of the muscles of our body, but resistances that we really build up into the layers of our mind and to protect the layers of our heart. So really try to soften and surrender into a shape that can hold you without trying to force anything deeper than it needs to be. Every exhale is an opportunity to release, let go, soften, surrender. And every inhale just comes to fill us with the life that we need. Possibility, space. Last 2 breaths here. And with an inhale, back up onto your hands first. Lean over to the left. Kick your feet around to the front. A little wiggle and release of the legs. We're going to set the soles of the feet together and knees wide. Sit up with some height through the front of your chest. And choose to just close your eyes and surrender your shoulders and your jaw and stay. Or if it feels good, round over the front. Release your head to the fold of your meated feet. Soles of the feet. Rest your hands, rest your tongue. Let the breath be really rich and full here for just a couple more. Last big breath here, make it complete. And when your inhale comes, come to sit up really nice and slow. Draw your knees back together, and then however it makes sense to you, we're going to shift everything around and come over onto our belly. See about creating a folded hand pillow for yourself, and potentially rest your forehead or maybe turn onto one cheek if that feels better. If it's okay, kick your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Maybe even roll your hips slightly side to side so that you can find a soft release. Notice the ebb and flow of your breath and the way that it fills, inflates, softly elevates your body. How the exhales might sink you back toward the mat. Let's stay with that soft rise and fall of our breath for 5 more. You're welcome to stay in the simplicity of this forward snuggled crocodile pose, or potentially walk your feet back to a place that they are about hip distance, and then slowly elevate through your chest a bit. We're going to try to bend through our left knee, and if it's possible, you're going to reach back and try to catch your foot with your hand. Other options are to hold on to the base of the pants. Other options are just to keep the knee bent, toes pointing toward the sky, and that might give a soft stretch to the front of your hip as it is. If it's possible to hold onto the foot or the ankle, a soft drag of the heel in toward the sit bone is going to start to stretch out the front of the big muscle of our quadricep. And it may or may not feel good to lay your forehead back towards your right hand as you rest here. And again, we're going to take 5 breaths. And when your next exhale comes, release your bind and your foot. Reposition left hand back forward again. And then change sides, maybe or maybe not, with a lifted gaze. I like to lift my gaze up, bend through my right knee, and try to catch the foot. Again, the options are just to bend the knee. Maybe or maybe not, you lay your forehead back down to rest onto the back of your left arm. And letting the heel come into your sit bone. You're noticing wherever it is the resistance comes through your own body. And letting the breath do its job to filter into the places that might feel sticky or fatigued. Just a couple more here. And again, when your exhale comes, release. Bring your right hand forward. We'll just take one more big breath, surrendering the whole body. And without a hurry, set your hands down into the mat under your shoulders. I like mine a little further back by my breastbone. Push through hands and knees to rise. And kick off to find a hip. If you possibly have a throw or a blanket near, that would be probably comfortable and helpful to set near the base of the wall. So if your mat is not positioned near a wall like we discussed at the beginning of the class, then maybe you'd like to change it to that space now. I'm going to take a little shift of this microphone. So I find the easiest way in my experience is to get ourselves close so that we're nearly sitting on the wall. You can use the base of your elbow and your forearm to support you here. And don't worry about it looking too graceful. You're going to try to kick your legs and circulate them up the wall as you roll down onto your back body. Now, like I say, it may or may not be graceful. You might need to use your elbows down into the floor using the base of your upper back and your triceps, and you might even need to stand onto the wall to help you shift and repivot through your hips. When you get here, kick the soles of the feet up the wall and let your arms either rest off toward the sides, or if it feels good in your body, fold the elbows and let your hands fall onto your body. You might find that legs at a soft space feels good, or you might find that you want your legs even further open. Really work to see if you can release the weight of your upper back, your shoulders, the cradle of your head. Some of us, when we get into this position, we're even more inclined to bring a bend through the knees, soles of the feet together, knees wide, similar to that seated pose that we did not very long ago. So really make it yours. Many yoga teachers purport that poses like legs up the wall can help to reduce any heightening to our nervous system, bringing balance to the parasympathetic side of our nervous system, the side that brings ease and release. Some yogis also purport that this will help to slow down the flow of our blood pressure, help bring release to things like restless legs. And whether any of that is completely medically proven, or if it's just because it simply feels good to be here, acknowledge what it feels like to be held by the support of the wall, held by the support of your mat, and come back for a couple of moments into the full flow of your breath. Inhales are easy, expansively filling. Exhales are soft and completely releasing. Because we all have different flows to our day. Because some of us love to stay in postures like this for an incredibly long time, and Some of us, after we experience a couple of minutes, feel complete. So I'm going to leave you here and allow you to decide whether you will take some more time for yourself to stay attuned to this breath and held by this breath. Maybe this is enough now, and from this space you're ready for bed. So I'll leave you here, and from the depth of my heart, wish you a good night's sleep. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.